Tonight, JMC Live is always going to be one of our sponsors, great sponsors, Quantum Port. For you guys that are seeing the YouTube video, you should be able to see my shirt. I'll stand up a little bit so you can see it better in the chat. But Quantum Pork is a place for theology, philosophy, and cosmology all to meet into one. And I talked to the guy who runs it, Dennis James, and he meets with college professors across the country and other brainiacs, so to speak, and they pick two topics, they talk about them, and they find a way to connect it to God. So I suggest you check out quantumport.com if you're interested and see if it's something you guys want to do. Yes, we are actually live tonight for those that are watching the preview, archive videos. Sorry. Hopefully you guys will be able to come back soon to a live show every Tuesday at 8 p.m. I gotta wait for the thing to stop freezing. Well, here's what we're gonna go to next. Like I said, I had a lot of stuff. We had a lot of things this week that we wanted to cover, and we're trying to throw it all into one little mix, give everybody a chance to hear about it. Like I said, you can check it out on our Blogspot page. So if you don't have the live show right now, or you just can't think of anything, or you really want to know what we're talking about in more depth, go to the Blogspot page, go to the Eternal Flame News. Miranda seems to write the majority of the information she'll find. Sometimes I'll give a response. Sometimes you'll know who's writing the response, sometimes you won't. You'll just have to, it's just something you have to figure out sometimes. But that's the way that goes. So let's go into this. Traditional marriage is something that's been in debate for quite a while. And, you know, there's different states right now that have ruled traditional marriage is not acceptable anymore. California is still fighting it.
Washington, D.C. just passed it today.
Washington, D.C. just what, Pat? Which way did they go?
They're allowing, it's called equality marriage.
Equality marriage in D.C.
So, lesbians and
lesbians, gays, transgender.
Yeah, they can get married now.
You name it. But this battle started, you know, all the way back to the U.S. Supreme Court, and homosexual advocates have said, activists have said that they're being bullied, they're being picked on, their rights are being treaded upon, and they believe that they should have the same equal footing as a traditional marriage. They believe a man and a man, a woman and a woman, or whatever, should be able to marry and have the same rights as those of us. Now, these unions that exist, these civil unions or equality unions, do not have, depending on what state you're in, do not have the same rights as a marriage. Meaning, some of them, they don't take the other name, and you know, the fine line between what a marriage is and what isn't is being blotted out and turning to gray.
Well,
because there's not as many examples of what a true marriage is. There's you'll see celebrities and their marriages are failing. You'll see political standpoint people, they're not working out. Everyone's just falling apart, and it's just getting to the point where,
well, not just that, but they also said that now that gays and homosexuals and lesbians and so on can get married, if they want to get a divorce, that is going to be even harder, because depending on what state they got married in or they live in, will not allow them to get a divorce. And so this is another factor that is going to be really bad if the divorce rate for these people starts to rise. Is they're not going to be able to get divorces, or they're going to run into problems. But
yeah, the whole thing is
But the thing is, what the article we're looking at is, vote for traditional marriage. It could put you on a hit list. That's kind of what we're trying to cover right here. And they're wanting to, anybody that votes for traditional marriage, they're wanting to put their names, addresses, phone numbers, and everything on a database, and for everybody to see who has voted, which in turn they fear, the voters fear this could make them targets for harassment or even death threats at times. You want to go on about this, Jer? I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I just wanted to make clear what we were understood the article we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. The thing with marriage and whether or not you stand up for what is right is coming down to, it is we that stand for traditional marriage. The tide is turned where we're the ones that are placed on the map, where if they're going to want to put us in a list, they're going to want to single us out and say that if that's the only way we agree, eventually it's going to be a crime. That's the direction I see this going.
Well,
that not only will homosexual marriage be accepting, eventually homosexual marriage, it looks like, it's going to become just as full-blown as traditional marriage. But depending on how this tide changes, traditional marriage may not even be accepting anymore. If you look at Caesar, the time of Caesar, and then you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, they frowned upon traditional marriage. They made fun of. People were ridiculed and stuff. I mean...
Well, they thought it was okay to go sleep with whoever you wanted.
Exactly.
I was watching it's called The Naked Archaeologist, but it's on like the History Channel, and he was talking about sex in the Roman times, in biblical times and stuff. And he was talking about how, I just watched this recently, but this has been something that I've looked at for quite a while. They would have, these bathhouses where people just go have sex with anybody. It was free love, and that was okay. And that's kind of how they looked at it back then. So. And
like I said, and I hate using this quote because I think it's from Lenin or Mark, but he says history repeats itself. History repeats itself over and over again. What we're going through today is not something new. If you get through your mind that traditional marriage is not something that just came out of the blue, and it's not something that's just now being attacked, you'll have a better understanding on how to prepare yourself, how to protect yourself, and know what your rights are. Because first and foremost, what we want to show you tonight with this is what are your rights as a citizen right now. In England, in the UK, hate crimes are rampant. They're all over the place. You go to Canada, it's very dangerous too, talking about homosexuals and stuff like that. It's coming down the pipe where you have to make a decision. You want to be like Paul, you want to be like John, talking about in Revelation, where he says you got to stand up regardless of what happens to you. I have to make a shout out to Stephen Baldwin, did a movie called Six, and in the movie he ends up being in jail for his belief. And kids in school are failing grades because they don't want to write about selling their soul to the devil. And then we have adults talking about the sanctity of marriage and pure sex. What are you going to stand up for? I'm not telling you to go pick up a foghorn and say, you are wrong! You don't do it that way. There's ways to do this. There's ways to be loving, to be friendly, to be kind, and be respectful. We will take a break and we shall return.